Hello everyone, welcome to our channel of meetings assistance for Jehovah's Witnesses. I hope you are all doing well. In this new video, we will prepare for the questions of our Christian life. We are in the week from July 21st to 27th. The title is it okay to serve alcohol? Let's begin. Question 1. How do the following biblical principles help us decide whether we should serve alcohol? John 2:9, At a wedding, Jesus turned water into wine. This passage shows that Jesus was not against wine, as he turned water into wine at a wedding so the guests could enjoy the celebration. However, it was not about excessive consumption. This teaches us that it is not wrong to serve wine, but it should always be in moderation and in appropriate situations. Additional comments. This miracle of Jesus at the wedding in Cana shows that wine is not inherently bad, but what matters is how it is used. The context of the wedding suggests that Jesus approved of moderate wine consumption in appropriate social situations, without leading to drunkenness. It is important to emphasize that Jesus did not promote excessive alcohol consumption at this event. The wine was served as part of a celebration, and it is likely that he did it with the intention of maintaining a festive and pleasant atmosphere, but always with control and responsibility. Question 2. How do the following biblical principles help us decide whether we should serve alcohol? 1 Corinthians 6:10, Drunkards will not inherit the kingdom of God. This verse teaches us that the abuse of alcohol, drunkenness, is something that displeases God. If we serve alcohol, we must ensure that it is not abused, as irresponsible behavior with alcohol can affect our relationship with God and our spiritual life. Additional comments. This verse emphasizes that the problem is not the alcohol itself, but the abuse of it. Drunkenness can lead to poor decisions, losing control of oneself, and ultimately distancing a person from the principles that God values. Paul's warning applies not only to drunkards but to anyone who indulges in excess in any area of their life. Responsible alcohol consumption is key, and this verse calls us to maintain self-control at all times to live according to God's principles. Question 3. How do the following biblical principles help us decide whether we should serve alcohol? 1 Corinthians 10:31-32. Whether you eat or drink or do anything else, do it all for the glory of God. Avoid causing others to stumble. This principle teaches us that everything we do, including serving or consuming alcohol, should be for the glory of God. Additionally, we should avoid putting others in uncomfortable or dangerous situations, such as when someone has a weakness regarding alcohol or when the environment could encourage inappropriate behavior. Additional comments. This principle encourages us to think not only about ourselves but also about others when making decisions. If serving alcohol at a gathering can cause others to stumble, for example, people struggling with alcoholism or those negatively influenced by the environment, we must be responsible and consider their feelings and well-being. When applying this principle, it is important to remember that our actions have an impact on others, and it is not always the right time to serve alcohol. Some people may feel temptation or pressure, so serving it in certain circumstances could go against the idea of doing everything for the glory of God and in a peaceful environment. Question 4. What factors should we consider? It is important to consider the context of the situation, the amount of alcohol to be served, and the people it will be offered to. We should think about whether serving alcohol could cause someone to lose control or negatively influence the environment. We must also ensure that we are making responsible decisions that reflect Christian principles, such as moderation and love for others. Additional comments. In addition to the context and people, it is essential to consider whether alcohol consumption will affect our Christian testimony. If we are in an environment where alcohol is seen as a negative or scandalous element, it is better to refrain from serving it to avoid misunderstandings or damage to our reputation as followers of Christ. We should also consider our own relationship with alcohol. If we know there is a possibility of falling into abuse, or if we are unable to drink in moderation, it would be wise to avoid serving alcohol to protect our own spirituality and well-being. Question 5. Why should we use our reasoning ability when weighing biblical principles? Using our reasoning ability helps us apply biblical principles practically and in balance. In Romans 12:1, we are told to present our bodies as a living sacrifice, which means our decisions should be responsible and reflect behavior that is pleasing to God. In Ecclesiastes 7:16-18, we are encouraged not to be overly righteous or wise in our own understanding but to seek balance. This means that when making decisions about serving alcohol, we should do so with wisdom and moderation, without falling into extremes. Additional comments. Reasoning ability helps us apply biblical principles in harmony with our daily life. Moderation and self-control are essential in everyday decisions, and by using our reasoning, we can avoid falling into extremes that are not pleasing to God. In a world where external influences often push us towards indulgence or excess, using our reasoning ability is crucial to staying firm in God's principles. This allows us not only to make responsible decisions but also to be a good example to others, reflecting wisdom in our actions. Well, those were the practical answers about the study of our Christian life this week. I hope it is very helpful to you, my dear brothers and sisters. Sending you a big hug, and may Jehovah bless and protect you always.